to Upstage Downstage, with him, Richard Platt, seated in the upper circle.
And him, Stephen Rees, typically seated in the cheap seat.
This is the Theatre Podcast, where we discuss productions we've seen,
Things we've liked,
and may not have liked,
giving our complete unprofessional
and non-biased opinions.
So grab a brew,
Take a seat,
and let's raise that curtain.
On today's episode, we'll be discussing Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. We saw this production at the Palace Theatre, Manchester on the 21st of February 2026. Based on the Oscar-winning groundbreaking film, Priscilla is back with a dazzling brand new 30th anniversary tour production. Directed by Olivier Award nominee Ian Talbot OBE, and choreography by Olivier Award winner Matt Cole, and stunning costumes by BAFTA winner Vicky Gill, this musical extravaganza is packed with an iconic soundtrack full of 80s and 90s disco and dance anthems, including Hot Stuff, It's Raining Men, I Will Survive, and Girls Just Wanna Have Fun. So Richard, what's it all about?
This musical comedy sensation follows three friends on a hilarious and heartwarming road trip across the Australian outback to stage the show of a lifetime. Starring Adele Anderson as Bernadette, Kevin Clifton as Tick, Nick Hayes as Felicia, and Peter Duncan as Bob, this production is bolder and more fabulous than ever.
But first, our post-show opinion! A fabulous show if seated in the stalls, probably.
All the glitz, but not as glamorous as I expected.
So with all that said, let's
Set the scene.
Set the scene, Richard.
Well, we just saw a mirror ball when we walked into the auditorium.
Oh, we did we?
Yeah, that's all there was on stage, just a mirror ball.
We were sat right up in the
gods.
Yeah, what was it? Dress circle, upper dress circle,
upper
upper balcony of the upper
balcony. Upper. I think it was the dress. It was a weird name, wasn't it? The gallery. That's the word.
Oh yes,
It's the gallery.
Yes.
I think the gallery meant your knees were in your in your chin, because that's what it felt like.
Your knees were in your chin.
Yeah,
they certainly were.
Yeah.
Well, go on. So that's the end of that. So we've set the scene.
Yeah, that's it. Set the scene. It's a mirror ball, and we had our knees in our chins. And no, we
So the first scene, we start off in a nightclub, don't we?
Like a dive bar, nightclub, drag bar, that sort of setting, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we've already got the preamble of the drinkers there, and the drag artist that's already working there, or owns the bar, I can't remember now.
It was I think it was to show that there's clearly resident drag queens in the bar. It's a bit of a preamble before we see the main characters come on stage.
The main
so
three.
This is almost to show the regular nights that have always got drag performers performing in noisy drag bars, basically.
Yeah.
And it was just done with a few tables and chairs and blocks around to show the bar and the runway stage into the middle of the audience, really.
Now, you're familiar with the film, I'd imagine.
I may have seen it now once or twice.
I thought you were going to say 9 then.
Yeah, and also the musical itself. So,
yeah, well, I've not seen the musical before on the stage, but I have seen the film a few times. I'd say about 3 times in my long life.
A few more than that for me, but that's just.
Look, this isn't a competition. I don't need to submerge myself within this film for too long just to get the message. I get it. I like it. It's all right. What we'll do now, we'll just change it up a little bit and talk about the writing in terms of the stage play before we get into the nitty-gritty of everything. That I think it's safe to say we felt a little bit let down by this production, and we'll explain our reasonings why in a moment. But on the whole narrative and the writing of it and felt really good. It was a great play. It was a good transfer from the film to the stage play, and
totally
obviously a musical. And you've obviously seen it a few times before, anyway.
Yeah,
on stage, haven't you?
And I had like quite a lot of faith with the translation from from film to staged from the actual. The elements of the film are very much entrenched within this musical, so it's nice that writing style brought out those moments that are in the film, because the film wasn't a musical. It had music in it, but it was not a musical. It was very different.
Yeah.
And I always find it very difficult when we see productions where they translate them from a film to stage. It's a very fine line to do that transition, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, well, we're seeing quite a few plays that have been done based on the films that have also gone a bit awry. But
yeah, exactly.
This one, I can't actually pull anything apart in terms of how bad it was. It was all good.
No.
The writing,
all the elements are there all the way
yes,
through.
everything was just great. The storyline was strong all the way through. It was funny. It was entertaining. The actors delivered their lines perfectly. So it wasn't anything necessarily bad with the writing.
No, and the only thing I'd say with the writing, the only change mainly that is very different from the film is the obsession in the film is about ABBA, and ABBA being a big thing in
Australia.
Australia, that's the word. However, in the musical, it's changed to being Kylie, and the obsession is Kylie. So that's the main sort of change in that whole thing. And I think in America, I've got a feeling in America it was Madonna that was the obsession.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
Yeah, but that's the only main change. The rest of the actual content and the storyline is pretty much the same as the film.
Yes,
almost,
yeah.
So they're the only bits that have been changed.
So we're all good for the writing. Now, if we talk about the production side of things, this is where we're going to get a little bit
spicy.
Yes, because we saw it on the Saturday, and it was the first Saturday on the run, wasn't it?
Yeah, it started on the Tuesday, so it had several night performances,
yes,
and matinees.
And to start off with, it felt like we were still in a dress run, or a tech
really
run.
Did.
There was quite a few issues wrong with it, especially when we were sat up in the gallery as well.
Yeah.
We could see everything up there.
Exactly. And I think not just that.
I didn't say it was just that.
I think something to mention at this point before we start ripping into it is the ticket prices weren't cheaper for these nights. There wasn't a preview. It wasn't a special preview night. Everybody had paid full ticket price.
Yes.
So and when we say what we say, it's because at the end of the day, everybody's paying full price for this.
And if you're going to put a production on the stage and you're going to tour it and you're going to fill it in these theatres which can hold all these people on so many different levels, you need to make sure that production can be seen by all these different people.
Exactly.
In all the different levels in that theatre.
Exactly.
There's a reason why they don't fill out the boxes at the sides, because they can't see.
Exactly.
But if you are right at the very top in the gods and you can look down and see it, you need to be able to see everything. And if you can see everything, you need to be aware of what you're, in this case, showing people.
Yeah.
And also we've seen another play where we don't get to see the full stage because they did that like a TV film.
I think there's almost an obsession of not paying attention to sightlines for all the audience, and I think they're almost designing productions for just people in the stalls. It's like the stalls, people matter in the stalls, but everywhere else doesn't.
Yeah.
Because even this production, Priscilla's about it's a fun production. There's heartwarming moments within it. But if you cut off half the audience when you can't see half of the stage because you've lowered the tabs that far at the front to create a smaller, intimate space, when actually all it does is cut off half the people in the room that can't actually fully see what's going off. And it felt...
why... Yeah, go on, carry on.
No, it's okay. I think it just cuts... It just makes you feel like, well, they're just the paupers. They've paid cheap seats. This is about accessibility for everybody who pays to see theatre. There's a big, conversation across the country about people being able to access theatre. And these are touring productions that you instantly feel like you're being cut off and made to feel like you're lower because you sat up higher in the building, and it's really frustrating because the big productions, the big tour productions, the big productions on in London, nobody misses out. You only have to look at things like Wicked and bigger productions that are running for years. Everybody can see wherever you sit, and I think it's really strange how we're having this conversation where we're just almost censoring off half of the stage, and I just don't understand the idea.
I mean, they're quite happy to take your money.
Yeah, exactly.
And like you say, it is about having access, and they're the first ones to say we need to make it more inclusive to everyone, and yet you're being exclusive.
Yeah, exactly.
Specifically to those in the stalls or the first
probably 10 rows on the downstairs, and it was
because what we didn't realise with this production was at the back of the stage there was LED signs and
projector
like PowerPoint.
Screen. There was a big projector screen at the back.
We can't see that from the gods.
No,
and yet we've still paid.
But there was also nothing repeating it lower down, so that you got that element. It was reliant totally on this projection screen at the top that was screened off for everybody, because in the bar scene it had literally hid it completely from anybody unless you're in the stalls. Nobody could, even the dress circle, which is meant to be the sweet spot. Your dress circle is your sweet spot to view a production, centre of the dress circle, and I can tell you now the dress circle would have seen half a stage. Because of the way they dropped things down and hid things. It was just such a strange thing to do.
Yeah, they put the bus pretty much mid to right at the back of the stage as well. So we sort of, in some scenes when they were dancing, you just got dancing limbs.
Yeah,
so you didn't necessarily see who that person was.
You just got a group of people on stage. You didn't have any reinforcement of where they were.
You just saw these legs moving about, and that's about it. And it's... in particular, there was one scene right at the very end when they have to climb up on the bus. Yeah, and they've got a tab coming down that they had struggles getting under that tab because of the headdresses, and they couldn't actually stand on the very top of the bus as well because it was
we wouldn't have seen anything.
Exactly, so they had to stand on the lower step, and that's just one particular scene. But just being able to see it was an issue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and to feel welcomed into a stage when you've just got a black wall, and I think that's what started to get really annoying. It's like, oh, we can't move it now because it's there. And bearing in mind, this is the first venue of the production tour. Yeah. So it's almost had to be built to fit this one. Yeah. Then fit all the rest. So if it doesn't work in this one, why even do it like that?
Because they're going to be going into places like the Theatre Royal, the Lyceum, all these old Victorian theatres where they're going to have all these upper dress circles and stuff like that, and they're going to pack them, obviously, and they're going to make money out of it. But if the audience can't see it, they're not going to have an enjoyable time, are they? Really?
No, and I just struggle when you see. For example, Anne Juliet started in Manchester in the same style, and that's a fully open proscenium arch. Don't hide the proscenium arch away. That's there for a reason. We're not watching telly. Yeah. And this is what's happening. It's like they're trying to cut the set down to make it smaller so it hides the rest of the things. But this is live theatre that everybody should be able to see, and it was really frustrating.
You can get away with doing those things with a small play in like a studio or something like that, when you are trying to be intimate. Yeah. But, for plays like this,
especially
it's all about Go on.
Especially when the scene changes are just pushed on pieces of furniture. The scene changes in this were reliant on a projection wall to show you the placement in different places. And we couldn't see any of that.
No, we had no idea.
I only knew where we were because I've seen it a few times before on previous versions of it, and I've watched the film. If you've not seen any of that, you wouldn't have a clue, No. And the thing is, we're banging the same drum on this one, but it's just so frustrating that it's been created as a piece that's got flamboyance and got excitement and things like that, and I feel like we've just been shortchanged because
big time,
because we've got to keep it all low on and down the bottom and let them see it, but let nobody else see it above. And I just think it's not the first production now that I've seen that they've started to do this, and I think it's getting strange that this is the decision we're making, and I just think I don't get it.
Now, just for a little reference here, we saw this on the Saturday on the matinee.
Yep.
And after we'd seen this, we went to see Operation Mincemeat.
Yep.
At the Lowry. And after watching Operation Mincemeat with just 5 actors in there, it's very forgettable, this play is. And how everything in this production was off.
Yeah.
And awkward.
Yeah.
And annoying.
Exactly.
And slightly bad and not polished at all.
And also a set that was opened up enough to see wherever you sat, you watched that production.
What are you on about?
As in Operation Mincemeat,
right, okay.
The way the set was, wherever you sat,
yes,
that box theatre would have fit anywhere, and everybody would have gained something from it. Yeah. This just felt like everything but.
Yes. Well, exactly. Yes. Now, where did we go from here, Richard? Do we talk about the direction, or do we just list just everything that went wrong? Because I think it's up to you.
I mean, direction-wise, I feel like there was a lot of moments that it still needed a lot more work.
Mm-hmm.
That there was times when you couldn't fully hear the some of the sort of plot lines or script, or I know that's the words, but I feel like some bits felt rushed, and then other bits felt like they were all over the place, and there was moments of weird direction. I think it just felt a little bit like this is what we've got to work with, so let's just do it. And I feel the problem is, for me, it's hard to when I've seen the other iterations of this over my life sort of thing. It just felt off. It just felt like we're rushing through this to put it on because of it's got a great name, and the book's actually really good. But I felt like they didn't do it justice as an ensemble, but directorially, I just think that it needs another few weeks before it's ready of solid rehearsals, because there was times where I felt like the set pieces were getting in the way, and there was even, I suppose, there was a scene, this is further down the production within the show, and they'd got all the gambling machines out for when they get to the casino part, and they're still bringing the chairs out for people to sit on while the production's happening, and it made no sense. There was like everybody, it was almost like somebody was waiting to go off stage to move stuff, and then there was bits where, like MacArthur Park, the bit where they fall asleep with the cake. They'd walked off stage, and it's like the whole point is they fall asleep together. I'm bitting and bobbing now, but there's loads of things that I just.
Well, that's why it's difficult to put this into any context, because we've got so many different notes of everything that was wrong, that was awkward. I feel like that's all we can do is.
And I think you summed
pick
it up
those
there.
Points up.
Awkward. It's like, I suppose one of the things we've not really talked about now is the bus itself. So
well, that's it. We've barely even got started on this.
So the bus itself was, for me, a bit of a disaster because of the way they designed it.
Well, it looked very much like those Yorkie buses used to get in the 90s for Easter, where it was a square thing, but it had but it had wheels drawn on it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was still a square box.
And then it looked like it stood on it a bit, so it crumpled up a bit.
But that's exactly how this bus was.
Yeah,
it was still a square box.
However, it had got a stage built out of it, because all buses have got an out-of-balance stage built on the other side of the bus when the bus opens. You have a flop-down bit that made no sense. And then we come to the seating of the bus, and it
wasn't even that staging bit that came out of the bus when it was turned around. It wasn't even as if it was steps coming down.
No,
that really served no purpose.
It didn't. It started confusing things because, like you say, there was no stairs down from it.
Well, a few times Adele Anderson as Bernadette, she walked down from the steering wheel or wherever she
Yeah.
was sitting down at the steering wheel. She walked down through the other side, down the steps, as
Out
you
the
would
back
normally,
doors. Yeah,
all the way
exactly.
round. But then you said about the other one, the other performer. Was it Mitzi or
it was Felicia.
Felicia?
Felicia was talking to Mitzi off the stage onto the floor of which was meant to be the desert. And then,
But did she
Adele,
walk through?
And yet
cut across
Bernadette
it?
walked all the way around the other side to talk to her. So it was like, is
Well,
this a magical mystery wall that doesn't exist? Because it's starting to blur the lines now.
Yeah, well, did one of them cross a step up into it? Because I understood it that they were speaking through the window. That's how I saw
That's
it.
That's what they were trying to show. But the problem was,
I get that.
they
Like
walked
Bridget
out
walked,
of the bus, and you couldn't really
Bernadette.
see where there was any window reveals or anything. So it was like you're standing on this weird stage bit that didn't really. I've seen it done in other ways where you've got the edges of the bus come round onto the open side, so you still
the
get
edges of the bus go round and round.
round and round. This didn't. So these didn't go round the front. So there was no repeat of the bus design on the front bit. It was just a blocky bit of stage
Yeah,
that felt like we're breaking the wall of a wall on stage, and it was like, why go out the door if you can always talk through this magical space that doesn't exist? And it just felt a bit confusing. It was like,
I mean, I get why Bernadette walked out
Yeah.
to have an intimate conversation, a
Exactly.
bit more of a closeness thing. But I'm sure you said at the time that one of them walked through and into
yeah,
it.
there was one. Yeah, there was a moment, and it's like,
So I
we've
don't
used the
understand
shortcut.
that.
And I always feel like you have to, even though there's nothing there, you've got to portray that the only way in and out of that bus is through those doors. The bus doors, not this wall's here. There's no other entrance to that bus.
Yeah.
But we start to like mess with the space, and it just feels. I just felt like it was rushed. I mean, the bus design as well didn't have enough levels on it, as in prop wise, where it was just an L-shaped sofa, but it was just, to be honest, it was just an amateurish box of ply box that goes all the way around the side with foam pads on it. There was no sewing bench where the sewing machine would be in with some material and some sewing bits and sequins and glitters like they make in their dresses. It was just a sewing machine plonked next to Felicia
On the
that she
seat.
was almost holding because it might fall over because it had just got a manky bit of material, and then there was moments where she was trying to sew on the sofa, and it was just, don't bother if you're not going to put something out. But they could have just had one fold out leaf of a table to give that effect.
Yes.
And I felt like there was no bits of shelves or to put stuff in to fill it, to make it look like, because the whole point of the bus is they buy an old school bus, they rip the chairs out and they do and mend the interior, so it's made out of
They had a box
stuff.
of shelves on the very back, though.
But that was
because
just around the window reveal.
Yeah.
It wasn't really I think what I'm getting at is I feel like it almost should have been two seats, a shelf, 4 seats, and just had more of a breakup all the way round to. Instead, it was just like it looked like a green room couch, and it was like, but that isn't how the bus would be. It was about creating levels, and
It's probably because you've seen the bus done a lot better than what you've seen.
Yeah, I just felt let down because I'm feeling like this is meant to stand out. I mean, to be fair, the only reason that they did it like they did was because in the second half it split up to become, for the hot stuff scene where it's the attack scene, where they spin the bus round and it breaks into pieces to become walls in a factory or warehouse area. I mean, to be fair,
Is that what it was?
Yeah, that's so they spun it round and that became all the walls.
I just assumed there were like different vehicles within this open space.
But what it's meant to be like in the back of a like factory area, and because it's the redneck area where they end up in is very, But what I'm getting at is, if all you've designed that bus to do is do that, so the compromise is you've made it not look good for the rest of the production, because all you've designed it to do is come apart, which it was starting to come apart as they were pushing it about anyway, because we started seeing cracks in the floor when they're trying to push it round. And that was the other thing. I know we're going to stick on the bus, but how many times do we see people struggle to move it?
Yes, exactly.
Because they were trying to wrench it round, and it was like, it became cumbersome. It's like there was no stagehands doing it. It was actually cast moving this bus. And it got worrying a few times for me, because they were really struggling to lift and shift it. And then there was the other side where they have the homophobic slur that puts on the side of the bus.
Yeah.
And this is the first week into the production, and the sign is magnetically stuck up. It basically is a false wall on the side of the bus that they lift up and in two pieces and stick and push against the back of the side of the bus. Well, halfway through that scene, one side of it fell down because the magnets weren't strong enough, and it feels like this is the first week in. This has got to tour the country. If that's not going to work now, how's it going to work for the rest?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think I've said enough about the bus.
No, but there's a lot to that though, because where we were sat, again, whenever the bus was, whenever the drag queens went into the bus to get changed, and then we were like, oh, look over here while the dancers are doing this at the front. Yeah. We could see them with the tech staff coming in and helping them get changed.
Exactly.
At the very back.
Yeah. Whereas if they'd have created because what I've seen other versions of this and the previous UK tour versions, there's a bit of a reveal on the top of the bus, so actually it hides. The sight line means when you look down, there's actually a bus reveal that stops you seeing in. Yeah, but there was none of that on this. It was too open. It should have been halfway to the back of that bus, so your sight line would have been covered. You know?
Every time they got changed, you saw them line up to be changed next.
And I feel like they didn't even have any lighting changes where they darkened the back of stage, because there was times when you saw somebody walk through the door of the bus and then walk off stage. Yeah. There was no screening, so you could see them you didn't see them disappear. No. You could see them walk off stage.
I know.
And that felt strange as well, It
wasn't strange, it was just a damn sight annoying, because whilst they're trying to perform to the stalls...
Yeah, exactly.
So everyone's like not aware of what's going on. We can see everything that's going on behind the stage. Yeah. So every kind of reveal that they're trying to make happen spontaneously or whatever, we can see the build-up. We know who's going to come on next. We know what they're going to be wearing. We know that they're getting ready for the next scene. And it spoils everything.
It spoils the illusion as well. It spoils the illusion that bus has got everything in it. And it's the... I will talk about Operation Mincemeat here, because I've seen it a few times, and I know that there's a sleight in hand, there's a few magic tricks that go off in that. And by magic tricks, you don't see people appear on stage until they actually walk through something, and you've not actually seen them walk on stage. No. And they've been screened off in such a way that it comes out of nowhere. Yeah. And that's what it should happen on
That's exactly what should have happened.
There should be an element that bus is almost magical. Yeah. But it blurs the line when you end up seeing people run off stage or this, that, and the other, and
it wasn't just the bus scene that revealed everything. The quick change when they were doing the tour in the second act or the third act, or whatever.
It's the final performance at the like
when they're all together doing that performance,
casino performance, and it's the bane of my life. That one is
because the three extras coming in, doing their performance and going out, all done with these like moving curtains. The curtains weren't big enough, so we saw them swapping characters around, basically, whilst the others were getting dolled up for their next final drag performance. For the main characters. We just saw these extras just come in and do stuff, and it spoils everything, because it's like, just get on with it now.
And I think go on. No,
I was going to say the speed at which the recording sound is done at is for each song to be more intense and go a lot quicker. But there was no energy there. There wasn't getting any faster.
No.
And it should be like done on like double speed.
Exactly. The supporting cast should be not what they were, and they were lackluster. And that was the problem. There was no level of pace to get that done. But also, like you said about the curtain being not high enough, it felt like a 6-foot high clothes rail that they brought across, whereas previous productions have used a full height curtain to do that scene so that it becomes special.
Yeah.
And I was really disappointed.
Special for everyone.
I was really disappointed because I wanted Stephen to see that in its glory, because it's a great part of the production.
I did see it in all its
glory.
glory.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
I could see it.
Yeah, from every angle.
From every angle.
You could.
It spoilt the illusion, but I saw everything.
I just hope they change that, because it needed to be at least a 9-foot high curtain on wheels. But even when they were pulling it through, the cast that were pulling it through were doing it slowly. And it was like, this is meant to be snap, snap, snap. It's not meant to be, let's just walk on this curtain and let's take our time. Yeah, it should be rehearsed. It's a really fast moment. And I felt like, oh, God, it just felt delayed. It just felt...
Wait, you saw the three performers coming on, like you could see them before the others got off.
You could see them swap.
Yeah, you can. I mean, obviously we saw them from above, but even on the stalls, surely they would have seen them swap, because you've got people's bums still sticking out the curtain.
Yeah, but the curtain wasn't wide enough either.
Exactly.
Because there was moments where I thought, even like you say in the stores, that we would have seen it, it would have still felt delayed, because I felt there was like a certain level of panic. And what you meant to do is that curtain's almost ripped across the stage, and as it goes across the stage in speed, those other three performers appear without you knowing the other ones are gone. Yeah. And it had none of that.
No,
it just it's almost. I think this is what we're saying about direction. This is a choreography sort of masterclass, and it wasn't.
No.
This is meant to be smooth and slick, and it should. You've almost got to work on this on its own, and it just didn't have any of that element.
I hate to say that I expect this from a amateur musical theatre company.
Yeah,
but even with an amateur one, they'd be doing it better.
Yeah, they would,
because they'd want to be better.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know how this sits for me, because this was really bad. I mean, maybe if we were sat in the stalls, we would have had a glowing report for this. But unfortunately, we can only report from where we were sat.
Exactly.
And we can only give an honest review based on how we saw it and how it made us feel. And we're not going to hold back. We're not the kind of people that, oh yeah, we love it. We love Adele. You know, she can't do anything wrong, so we're going to fob it off and say, oh, it was fantastic, it was amazing. No. What we saw was really bad.
Yeah.
And that's we can only, I'm not really lying and milking it for other people. I'm telling the truth. I didn't
hear you growl.
Hey.
I think the problem is the whole thing becomes disappointing for me when, yes, I've seen it in the West End. Yes, I've seen it on tour more than once, and I'm feeling let down because this production can bring a lot of joy and a lot of heartwarming moments, but the production is letting it down. Mm-hmm. The pace and the cast are letting it down. Mm. When you've got something that's already there and will work, and it feels laboured and lackluster, the whole thing. All those little moments that I really like, I felt like they just throw them away,
And let me say this, because this production we've seen has had so many 5-star reviews and everyone's raved about it. I mean, Richard sat there thinking, really?
Yeah.
Did we see the same production? Now, if that production company is just going to listen to those 5-star reviews and say, oh, this is wonderful, they're not going to fix
they're not
anything that's wrong.
No.
So they're going to do a tour with it being half-arsed.
Yeah.
And you're going to get a lot of people who are going to look at it thinking, this isn't a 5-star production.
No, it isn't.
It's really not. Now, I can forgive a lot of stuff, but when you've got a lot of stuff going wrong, then something needs to be said. But,
And also, the other thing I'd probably
because you want it to do well.
Yeah, and another directorial point is,
let's carry on.
I feel like the divas were. I feel like the divas were almost thrown to one side.
Yeah.
Now the divas always in past productions have featured heavily as almost these ethereal people that sing the songs to reinforce the production. But I felt like they were almost just walking barefoot around stage and not really doing. They weren't standing out as this. They're there, but you don't really see them. They're almost ghostly. The whole point of those three characters is don't interact with the people on stage. They're almost in their own world. And yes, there's scenes where they should be actually flown above the audience and actually above high in the audience. And that, I don't understand why
in the audience, or do you mean above the stage?
Right, above stage. What I mean above stage,
above the actors, right?
But I feel like we've just thrown that away. That's the whole point of them adding that other level, and everything was all on the stage, and they've probably done it because it's cheaper not to have like flying mechanisms and stuff like that, but it just felt like then the men become just walking around on stage and not really, they're great singers and they were doing a great job, so I'm not discrediting the performance of them.
Oh, absolutely.
But I felt like the decision to just let them amble about stage and just almost become well, they just felt like extras, and it's like it's not fair, because the whole point is the queens lip sync from the divas singing those songs.
Yeah,
these big bellowing songs, and it's like it's meant to be mirroring those great diva groups, or in Little Shop of Horrors it's the same sort of thing with you've got those characters that are almost in their own world. It's like it should be the Diana Ross and the Supremes. It should be that, but I felt like they were just like, oh, we'll just shove them over there. We'll just shove them over there. We'll just shove them at the back of the stage. We'll just shove them there. It didn't feel like they were as much of a part of it as they should be.
If we talk about the costumes, I felt the costumes were quite nice and colourful. There were nice pageant costumes there for the queens, and you said something like the iconic costumes that they should be wearing with the bell-bottom trousers, that they didn't wear them. Now, I didn't know that was a thing.
So in the original film, that's what they wore, and in the other versions of this production, they've always wore those as part of the show itself.
Yeah,
and I just felt a little bit like we're designing a production with costumes that I don't think stood out that much in this, and there was a couple of times where they wore the same costumes more than once.
Yeah,
which felt a bit annoying, because the whole point of this is flamboyance, and it's meant to be extremes of drag, and let's just show different things. And there was times when I'm thinking, I'm sure I've seen that flip-flop dress in the first half and the second half, and it's like, yes, it's iconic, but it's meant to be there at a certain point, not repeated.
I thought the costumes were okay, to be honest. I wasn't expecting anything other than them being like sparkling and colourful, which they were. Incidentally, there's something I've forgotten which goes more towards the direction. There was a scene, it was the iconic one, where they're getting on top of the bus and they've got that whole train of Silver and one, I can't remember which one it is. It's Felicia that does the opera one.
Yes, the opera. Oh God, yeah.
Right, okay. Well, that's just come from that one. Came from the whole like rednecks throwing them, chasing them, and being homophobic, and writing AIDS on the bus and stuff. And I just felt like that. They just quickly went into that scene, tried to perform it. The train went all over the place, so it didn't really glisten and flow in the wind.
And it just looked like a bit of material floating in the sky.
Yeah, and then she did a little bit of that, and then that's it, changed to the next one. Like, it didn't make it feel like it was grand or great, this whole iconic scene. It just felt they were trying to shoehorn it in.
And something that happened in the last tour I saw, which I didn't like in the last time I saw it in the tour, was the trade-off is as well. That iconic scene is done in a stiletto on the top of the bus in the production. The original film is done in a stiletto. What we got this time and we got in the last tour was basically an umpire's chair and no stiletto. So it's just a bit weird because it just doesn't give the same effect.
No.
It's not as iconic. It just basically looks like you sat ringside at a tennis match with this bit of silver material hanging from the back of it, and it just looked like that. It looked like they'd unrolled a bit of silver material and just like bulldog clipped it to the back of the thing, and it didn't give any, like you say, it didn't give opulence or like this whole like scene that was meant to be iconic. It just felt flat.
Well, it's supposed to be a scene within itself, but it just felt like they just need to rush it in and rush it out.
Shoehorn it. They shoehorned it.
It was just if you ain't got time for it, just forget it then.
Yeah, I know.
You ain't got time for it.
But it's a bit something on the lines of they probably can't get the stiletto in the lorry for the next tour or whatever. I'm not being funny. It's one item, and it would have fit in one of the lorries.
Well, even if they hadn't, even if they decided to not go with that whole stiletto thing, that whole scene that they did provide us with was just a rush job.
Just didn't live up, did it, at all?
No, it was like, oh, why even bother? Mind you, the whole energy within the whole group just felt a little bit low.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately. Even though we saw it for a matinee, the energy level should still be high. They should still be buzzing. They should still be excited to get it over and done with.
I also feel as well that this is meant to be the first week of the production before it tours around the country. And that's when people will, like us, are watching it to give our opinions on it. And it should be top dollar.
Yeah.
It should be really high in its performance level. And it just...
I mean, still to this day, we're still talking about 42 Balloons. We're still talking about Kathy and Stella Solve a Murder. We're still, especially you, talking about Operation Mincemeat.
Yeah, exactly.
These are really good productions. We do not boast about the ones which are a bit mediocre because it's slightly embarrassing. And this isn't a show I'd say, go and see Priscilla.
No,
it's
exactly.
great. If you want to go see it, go and see it.
Exactly.
Moving on to our next segment, as we say, we're here for the drama. We did say that the energy was slightly low. However,
yes,
the line deliveries from our three main leads, well, four if you include Bob.
Yeah.
Although he had a technical issue, which we'll discuss later.
Yeah, we'll go over that.
They were all superb.
Yeah.
I felt they did a really good, stellar job.
They did.
Know, I mean, one of the standouts is, for me, naturally, Adele Anderson, because obviously I love Fascinating Aida. But the fact that she managed to deliver all the iconic lines, funny jokes, and, those classic
the
quotes.
one-liners that,
I mean, there's a lot, so I'm not going to say them. But, she did them, and she got the comic timing right.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah.
And also the other guys that were playing the Tick and Felicia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say Mitzi as well. I forget which one's which.
Tick plays Mitzi.
Right, so Mitzi
Tick's
is a drag.
His name is,
Yeah. Either way, we've got Kevin Clifton and Nick Hayes here, who were just... They were wonderful. Exactly, brilliant. You couldn't ask for anything more, really.
No, and they all portrayed very different drag queens, and I like they had the right dynamic, and you could tell they were. They
characters
like
were
trio.
very defined.
They were very much a trio as well. You could tell there was chemistry.
Yes,
with their performance.
Yes, and let's just say Peter Duncan as Bob as well. I would say all four of them were very professional, particularly when it came to mic issues. Now, we'll discuss what happened in the tech.
Yes, we will.
But there was an awful lot of wondering what the heck's going on. But they carried on as troopers. They didn't let it get in their way.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was a few bits where it was like, oh, okay, so that's gone again. Which you could see it surprised them as well. Surprising.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But it didn't really throw them off that they had to stop anything or do anything. They just powered on through and just up the volume when they needed to.
Yeah. I think as well, what I'd probably say is there was all the ingredients were there. The cast were actually performing well. I just feel that overall, as a production, that's what was letting it down. I think there was pacing issues. There was issues for the whole cast. There was it was clear they just weren't ready to put it on in a way, but I don't know if they knew that because it felt like they were just running full pelt to do this production or rushing. There was times when it felt like it was almost a sense of panic sometimes, and I think.
And you wondered, do they feel like they had to rush it because it started late because of everything that was happening in Manchester at the time?
I don't know,
because it was delayed, wasn't it? 15 minutes.
Yeah, but I don't think that should change the performance too much because I don't think it's a matter if we've seen the night or the day performance, because there was certain times when I felt like there was some pushing through some of the parts of the production.
Yeah,
like. There was elements where you're thinking, because the big ensemble numbers were great. They sung the songs well, but I think the links between and there was just some issues where you just felt like there's just a few pauses on stage which lower the energy levels, and I think that's what it was. Sometimes there was like times when there was some technical issues as well which don't help, but I can't see that had been rectified for the evening either. You know what I mean? I just think. It's difficult to pick out. I don't know if it doesn't help because some of the bar scenes, it's like the Marion scene where she's they're being really unwelcoming in the bar. The bar, in essence, was just two big tables, which were blocks, basically.
Yeah.
But that was it. And there was no drinks, there was no this, there was no that, there was no repeat. Yes, they might have put something on that back wall, but none of us could see it from the stores.
Do you mean when Bernadette was asking for a martini?
Exactly that scene.
Cocktail.
Yeah. But it just felt like we're just going to put these blocks here. Everybody will know it's a bar then, and it's like, but you feel like there's that it. There was no pumps on the side or anything to show you that we've moved to a different place. It was just, and this is where the amateur bit comes in, where I felt like they hadn't got they didn't want to spend any money on the set. So let's just put these blocks here. We'll make it people can imagine. And it was a bit like, but this is meant to be a professional production that has got if you're selling this production on a big tour, you can afford to do those things, or are you more bothered about how much money you're going to make? Because this is where the payoff starts coming into it. It's like, I feel that's where I felt shortchanged with this production, because the set elements felt weak and they didn't reinforce things. You can't just rely on a projection wall when you've got people at the back of the room not knowing what's at the front. There was nothing on those blocks or anything to show that was a bar setting. Because we've got nothing to tell us. I mean, even if they'd have projected on the front of that tab, that might have helped us. But no, we're not going to do that. We're only going to show it on what the stores, people in the stores can see. So I think that didn't help and that then slowed the cast down and the production, the performance itself. And
I was wondering when you were going to get around to the cast.
I think it's all those elements that as a cast does it. It was like that scene, the other bar scene, where
at the very
we have
beginning,
the ping pong.
Yes.
And they're just on round blocks that didn't really make much sense. Like, it was weird. It was like they looked like plinths for a statue, not in a bar. And it just felt it just felt a weird setup. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if they got them from somewhere else or they were from another production, because it just felt a bit out of place, really, I think.
Yeah.
I think this is, if you think of stuff like in Book of Mormon, where they bring, in the airport scene, where they bring these, like, signs in and things that show that you're in the airport, and all it is probably just a stand and a airport sign, and you got none of that. So you just started thinking, well, I'm just going to get this, what looked like painted block that I don't know,
Yeah.
and that helps the cast then drive those scenes because they feel like they're in the space, and I just felt like you're not.
Well, I don't know
because
obviously they're in the space and they're performing. They're just doing their bit. I think
there was just no props,
the issues
was
there is still the set design.
Yeah,
That is the issue for it all to be cohesive. But talking of that particular scene, Cynthia, played by Isabella Glansnig Santos, she was fantastic. She was.
Yeah, she was brilliant.
She was brilliant. She was Bob's wife.
Yeah,
and she was hilarious, especially when she was
doing pop
cursing
music.
him.
Yeah, exactly.
Because after she did that particular ping pong scene, they all went out and had it's more lemonade, I suppose it was, outside the bus, and they all sat around in their garden chairs and stuff. And she was really wanting to be something.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it might have been the other way around, actually. I can't remember now, because she wanted to perform, didn't she?
She did, yeah.
So was it the other way
She
around?
knew Bob never lets her perform.
So it was the other way around. Because they'd broken down in the bus, they meet Bob, and then they meet Bob's wife, and then when they find out that they're all performers, that's when Bob started liking Bernadette, and his current wife, Cynthia, wanted to go and do a ping pong bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good. Really good. And also, I believe, as Felicia's son was, I think it was Forrest Majori, I think it was.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it looks for.
I think that's the person we saw. And he was really good. Really knew his lines, knew exactly what was going on, and he was a good little performer there.
Yeah, he was. I think Misunderstanding did a good job as Gary Lee when, opening the production and,
actually,
holding the room. And
that was quite funny because I was slightly annoyed because I always said that if I was going to have a drag name, it would be Misunderstanding or Misdiagnosed or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm annoyed that they've taken my idea. No, obviously, take what you want.
Yeah, no, I did like that performance.
Yeah.
Moving on to our next segment, as we say,
What the Tech Is This? Microphones, Richard. They had issues, didn't they? Particularly for Bob.
I really, really struggle with, in the first half, some of the things that I really struggled with the microphones were, there was one moment where I just feel like, this goes out to all sound technicians, read your script and make sure you know when the cast enter and come on stage and leave stage, because there was a moment where Kevin Clifton walked half off stage, but he comes back with a retaliation line because he's having an argument with somebody on stage. He walks off half off stage to come back to deliver that line. Well, he'd already had his mic muted at that point, so when he came back with his retaliation, mute. So it was wasted. It was thrown away, and it really annoys me when things like this happen, when it really matters to the script. And there was loads of moments in this production where where you couldn't hear some of the key lines in the script. There was another moment where Adele walks into stage to break up a fight, and we lost a whole sentence.
Yeah,
and it was completely throwaway. And actually, that one whole sentence really mattered in the delivery of that piece. And it just then...
Well, it loses the power of the scene.
Exactly. Because it just made it feel like it's not her fault, but you feel like she's got to repeat that line to then be heard. And she didn't repeat it, but the problem is then you're missing out all that interaction. And there was too many moments like this.
Yeah, it's always the exits and entrances where they're just missing out on audio. But one of the mics, Bob's mic, was all crackly and stuff for the wireless thing or whatever was connected at the back. So his particular
we lost the
song,
whole scene, didn't we? I think.
Pretty much, but he had to power through singing that whole song.
Yeah, Fine Romance. He was singing Fine Romance, and it's like And it's meant to
A lot of
be
it was
like a
gone.
really touching moment, and his mic was all over the place.
Yeah. I think his mic disappeared for the conversation, but
Yeah.
I think it was fixed for the song. But it was very squeaky bum time.
It was,
of
definitely.
When's it going to go off again? Is it
Yeah.
going to be when he belts out the line
But
or
then
what?
there was another moment where the wig that the drag queens were wearing, as in the three main ones, there was crackles on the wigs when they were talking, and it's like because the wigs are affecting it's catching the mic, and it was like it just gets really frustrating because you think yet again this is a professional production, and yet again we're getting the same sound issues we're hearing with other productions. It's like I feel like yes, there might be a delay on the board, but that should be accounted for. That should be learnt that actually we need to switch that on a beat before somebody walks on stage, because they're going to be saying that at this point. And it's like really, it really gets annoying when, yes, we've got to mic people up, but actually what's happening now is productions are getting affected by it because they're not, the technical side isn't reacting as fast as it should be.
Yeah.
Or learning the production, they're just reading from a script and delivering it at that point. They actually need to watch what they're doing, watch what's happening on stage, know that those entrants and exits should be marked on your script as an audio technician. Like you've got to learn it in that way. You can't just learn it from the words. You've got to watch what's happening to know that that Kevin Clifton's going to walk off and come back on. So mark it in your script.
Well, he didn't even walk off. He just walked to the front of the.
He just turned
behind
away
the bus
and just turned back.
Because he was still on stage. It wasn't like he
Yeah.
left the stage. He was still on it.
And he just lost all power because he's actually telling Felicia off for being stupid, and he just lost that whole element. And yeah, it just makes you really get annoyed with. It really affected this production as well. And I think that didn't help with directorial choices and pacing and all that when you've got this happening as well, you know.
Yeah, it was all a mangled mess. Anything else in terms of the technical side of things? So the lighting.
I mean, lighting was fine. It was bright light and it was colourful and it did what it needed to do. I don't think I noticed anything else on those lines. So I didn't see anything that got in the way there.
No, other than the mics, I didn't really cotton on to anything else that went a bit awry. Because I think everything just went awry.
But I'm sure, actually, thinking about it, when they walked up those steps, we had mic issues to do the final "We Belong." So when they sang that song at the top of the steps, it didn't. Some of the actual, it wasn't necessarily the song; it was the actual lines they delivered before they sang the song, which was about. It's almost the final moment. It's the 11th hour performance, and you'd lost some of the weight of that as well, and it was just. It just.
Well, even when they were walking up the steps, why on earth did they have that tab?
Exactly,
there?
I know, and that got in the way as well.
Because they had to duck their headdresses to go under it, you know, and that was awkward.
Yeah,
No, it really was.
yeah, and I think that sums up this production.
It was pretty awkward. Yeah.
And now it's time for our Rewind Rewatch.
I'd just love to see the scenes with Cynthia and the ping pong bit.
I'm really struggling because I've seen better version of this, and I'd prefer to see the previous versions that I've seen. And I shouldn't, you know, because for me, I love the whole piece as a production, and We Belong is one of my favourite parts of this production. And I felt like it just didn't have the power that I've seen before. You know, it had so much power in the previous versions, and this just felt flat. That's one of my favourite parts, but this is not in this version.
In terms of the musical numbers, I normally get people to say, well, what song they liked or what they'd like to see again for that particular song. And I have to say, I'm not really bothered about any of them. Even MacArthur Park, you know, as you mentioned earlier, that was a bit...
But you see, I love that in the previous version, but you've not seen the previous version, so you can't look at it like that.
No, well, I can only judge this production.
Exactly.
So should you.
Yeah, totally. Because that's a direct link to the original film, because it's a direct thing to what happened where they fall asleep, actually with their heads in the cake, and they get covered in cake because they've just fall asleep drunk in the Bernadette and Bob fall asleep in the cake, and it's such a send up of that whole scene that I just felt like that lacked in this version. And it could have been. It's a great funny number.
Moving on to our final segment, as we say, call this a show.
I hope that the further down the tour it gets, that it actually improves, because at this point in time, from what I saw last weekend, I just think it needs a lot more rehearsal and a lot more energy putting into it, but also the technical issues need to be ironed out, because that will keep getting frustrating if it keeps happening, and I think, audiences will get something out of it, but I do think it'll shortchange others.
I think this sells itself as being a really fun, entertaining show, and maybe if you're sat in the stalls, you get that. But I do hope that when it does go on tour, which it is doing, that they sort out the sight lines for the audiences to see around the back, and also they sort the mics out. Yeah, this is a mediocre show for me. It was all right. I wouldn't see it again. Unless I had free tickets. Yeah.
And it was a different production.
Well, even if it was this one and they had it, if they improved and say, here's 2 free tickets to go and see it at Nottingham Theatre Royal, we've improved all the things you had to address, Stephen, because your notes are marvellous and we think you know what you're talking about.
Hint.
Then I'll be like, I'll give it a whirl if I've got the time. I don't mind. Scores then, please, Richard, for Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best camp fun to be had on a road trip and 1 being someone left this play out in the rain. What's it going to be?
For me, it's going to be a 6 out of 10.
A 6 out of 10, hey?
Yeah.
And for me, I'll give it 6 points as well. So you know how many points that means.
How many does it make?
4 points makes 1 star, so therefore we've got 12 points, which means it's a 3-star production.
It's a 3-star production.
There we go. How's that for our new little thing?
How's that?
So, what sound effect will you be choosing from the following? A complete train wreck? Tumbleweed? An audible shrug of the shoulders? A slow clap? A pleasant applause? Or a standing ovation? What will it be? I'm going to give this a pleasant applause.
And it's a pleasant applause from me too.
So there we are. That's our discussion of
Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
We hope you found it insightful.
If not, entertaining.
Stay tuned as we bring you more of our thoughts
and opinions
on many theatrical delights in future episodes.
If you'd like to get in touch, email us at upstagedownsstagepod@gmail.com. You can always join in the chat to share with us your views of a production.
Also, make sure to follow, share, like and subscribe to all our channels so you get every episode the second it's released. And we hope you join us again for another instalment of Upstage Downstage.
The Broadway and West End musical comedy...
Oh, wait,
no, this. I need to put this. I might put this, Broadway. It's better. This Broadway and West End music... I was right.
Look, all I ask is you read. Just read. I didn't realise that was
brain.
Such a task.
My brain's not engaged. This Broadway and West End musical comedy sensation follows 3 friends on a hilarious, heartwarming road trip across
And heartwarming.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I just
decided not to read.
This Broadway and West End musical comedy sensation follows 3 friends on a hilarious and heartwarming road trip across the Australian outback. Fucking hell.
I mean, do you want to breathe at any point?
Do the pause in the words. This Broadway and West End musical comedy sensation follows 3 friends on a hilarious and heartwarming road trip across the Australian...
You best stop breathing after hilarious.
I know, that's what I was thinking. Well, why didn't you say that?
Because you decided to put the comment after road trip and then you mangled it ever since.
Well, look.
Never mind looking. Read.
Talking's better.
Well, you can't. Come on.
Look, I can write
Snap
it down.
out of it.
Can't I do a podcast writing it down?
No.
This Broadway and West End musical comedy sensation follows three friends on a...
Sorry, what was that?
Three friends. They're not expensive. They're free. This Broadway and West End musical comedy sensation follows three friends on a
Hello. Just hilarious.
This Broadway and West End musical comedy sensation follows three friends on a hilarious and heartwarming road trip across the Australian outback to stage the...
My computer's doing that whirring noise again.
I know it is. Fucking overheating. Can't cope with my amazing talents. Now the fucking washing machine.
I'm doing a wash on, so deal with it,
on.
I'm afraid.
We'll just wait for the machine to stop spinning.
Oh, we could be doing it for hours. It's fine.
This Broadway and West End musical comedy sensation follows three friends on a hilarious and heartwarming road trip.
Go up a breath.
You can edit that out.
I'll edit my washing machine out as
I
well.
was going to say. Have you got a noise reduction tool for the fucking washing machine?
Oh, I'll put it on your track.
This Broadway and West End musical comedy sensation follows three friends on a hilarious and heartwarming road trip across the Australian... I'm still not pausing.
This Broadway and West End musical comedy
No, don't need to
sensation.
tell me how to do it.
Oh. I'm not allowed to read it myself and see where the gap is.
Carry on.
No, I'm done. You dig yourself out of this bloody mess. You dig yourself out of this. Look, what you might as well talk a little bit more about it. Go on.
I think one thing we could...
No, that's enough. You're boring me now.
Yeah. It felt almost... You know, it's like when you put things into
Get it out.
you
Put your
meant to-
teeth in. Are you paying attention?
Yes, I am.
Stereo.
I've done it now. Can you talk and see if it works, Stephen?
I can talk. Certainly I can talk. I can talk all day long if you want me to talk.
That's
I will
enough
never
talking.
stop. Oh. So there we are. That's our discussion of
Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
You've thrown me out there because for some reason I forgot we were doing that. Okay. Scores then please, Richard, for Priscilla, Queen of the Dead. No, not Queen of the Dead. My mouth just stopped working.
The Dead Cert.
Based on the Oscar-winning groundbreaking film Baking. It sounded wrong. Based on the Oscar-winning Gowned. Directed by Olivier Award-winning and stunning costumes by BAFTA winner Vicky Gill, this musical Ta-da!
It was a bit loud.
Never mind, it's a bit loud. Right, come on then.